Hello, Kristin. Nice to be with you today. It's a little different, though. You and I are normally the ones going out and getting interviewed, but today you're getting interviewed by me.
Let me just let me just buckle my seatbelt.
Yes, and I have time. I have time restrictions on answers. We're going to keep it short.
Uh-oh.
So I wanted to ask you about this big project that you've been working on, but it came to you, I don't know how many years ago, but you put this together and you have something that is going to be revealed in this interview, I think.
Yes. Yes, I do, Charlie. Okay, I know that I'm on a timer with you for my answer, so I am going to be succinct here and get to the point and land the plane quickly. But I am extremely excited because this started as many things that I've created in this world. It started from the biggest point of frustration
Mhm.
ever. So years ago, when I wrote and released and published Thriving Blind, the book, I always had this dream of like going to everybody's town that's featured in the book and showcasing them thriving, what they do, talk to their people, and all of that. And I started thinking about creating that. And then somebody came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, the unemployment rate is so high. We really got to do something about that. Do you think that you could do a TED talk to combat this whole 70% unemployment rate?" And I was like, I already did one TED talk. And I'm like, TED's getting a little saturated. Let me think
Mhm.
about a good venue, like a good way to get the message out about unemployment. And then, life comes along and all this stuff is happening. And at the time, the boys were going into college and finishing high school. And then they went out into the workforce and were getting denied jobs. And I lost my mind. In Mama Bear came about, and I was like, okay, we can't wait on this. We can't wait on this. I had to sit and think about, all right, maybe I do need to do that TED talk on why. Because here's the thing, Charlie, and from the stuff we talk about and the people that we know, I 100% see my boys because they've had access to the tools of blindness. When a digital environment and a physical environment are accessible, when all that
Mhm.
is in place, they actually have the competitive edge over other people. And everyone that's grown up with them sees the same thing. They think the kids that grew up with my kids think blind people are elite and have the edge over others, but no one else in the world thought that way. So I was like, how do you get a message out far and wide quickly that changes minds? We need to cue the music. Hooray for Hollywood. That's what's always playing in my head. But that's where it started.
So that is pretty amazing. And I was good. My next question was going to be, so what steps did you take to find your mind? But, I won't go there because you said I lost my mind. But I understand that, like you said, you and I are working in this, around it, in it, and with so many. And you saw that bias, that really ignorance. And it's not like they're bad people, corporates and little companies and gas stations. They just see like the blind person with a cane and kind of doing circles. You know what I mean? They have this weird picture. So you had this sent to you, an idea to create a film, right? A movie that actually shows the truth of what it's like to be blind. So what did you do next? Like, how did you start putting this all together?
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, we know from being professional speakers and the work that we do and all the stuff we've studied, storytelling is such a powerful thing, right? So I was like, how do we tell this story in a way where it's not just. I didn't want people walking away going, "Oh, okay, blind people, not as sad as I thought." I wanted people walking out of seeing this, hearing this, knowing this story going, if I don't have a person that is blind or visually impaired on my team, I don't have the competitive edge. So it's like, where do you begin with that? Well, what makes the world go round? That is funding. So I was like, okay, let me get an outline together of what I only knew what the outcome was that I wanted. That change of story in people's minds around blindness. I wanted people to just hear blindness or see a blind job candidate walk through the door and go, oh my gosh, this is my opportunity to really have the competitive edge at my company, and to just eliminate that negative bias and build a new bias of thriving and success. So I
Mm.
did this little outline, and then I started looking at all of my connections who might be able to not just invest in this, but invest in it because they're invested in some way in the blind community. So I started going through connections, making phone calls, sending emails, having Zoom calls, and I would get super close to a yes. And then it was, oh, we have one more department that you have to
Mm.
go through. We have one more department that you have to go through. This is a wonderful idea, Kristin. This is going to change so many lives. You have one more department you have to go through. And I heard that for about 15 months.
And we won't say any names. And yes, and you know that department they were talking about, it really didn't exist. You know, and I hear you, but here's the awesome thing about you. You didn't give up. You are practicing these principles in all your affairs, you know? You had a vision. You saw what this could do. And it has, I know, because when I very first met you, you talked about it right away. And I'm like, this lady's a little cuckoo. I
She's a
mean,
little obsessed.
she wrote a book, she did a TED talk, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. Now she's gonna do a big movie, and I'm like, geez, you know, I'm just trying to find a job. No, I'm just kidding. But so anyway, you know, the way you thought, I mean, you are an idea generating machine, but I also know that stuff is sent to you through the universe or whatever. You know how we, and as blind people on this planet, we get sent inner promptings because it's meant for us to lead this thing. And you nailed it. I had a company for 19 years with all blind people working in it. I'm legally blind, and my staff was either blind or low vision, or, you know, one lady came in a chair. But you're right, the competitive edge. It was customers were blown away by their loyalty, the ethics. They didn't complain. They showed up, and it's like that's the truth of who we are as people. And you saw that with the boys. You said my boys didn't get the golden spoon, whatever they call that. You know, it didn't just, they didn't get an IV and now all their life is perfect. No, they worked for it, and you did too. And you built principles in these kids that, and so when they hit those walls of that company that, like, hey, that blind guy's here looking for a job. I didn't know he was blind, but he's here now. And you know, the guy in the other room said, tell him it's filled. You know, and it's like, wait a minute, you don't understand. We bring so much to the table. No, I'm not gonna drive a UPS van. No,
That's
there's
not
many
fun
other
anyway.
things we can do. So you do all this. Now you're starting to make calls and you're aligning some people, and things started to present themselves, and you started getting, what did you start getting?
I started making progress. I started getting the connections to get this thing to the finish line. And I'll tell you what, Charlie, to back off for a second, the stuff you were talking about, here's how I see it. This whole competitive edge concept and this whole like dispelling and get rid of this bias against blindness, it is like legit the best kept secret
Yeah.
on the planet, that people that are blind and visually impaired are extraordinary at the things that they are passionate about and the things they do. So of course, and it's my kids that were impacted by this. So of course, you know, this mom, especially a little bit of that Philly grit, right, was like not taking no for an answer. But I was getting so frustrated until I still don't even remember how this happened. I'll have to ask Michelle how it happened. But my now good friend Michelle is an audio describer, you know, that does all the audio description, which this film and subsequent projects all will have. and she's out in Hollywood. So I'm like, how do you reveal the best kept secret? You tap into Hollywood, whoever you can. So I was talking to her about this. I'm like, I'm frustrated. I need to get the funding for it. She's like, I'll do the audio description. I give out grants for audio description. And I was getting really fired up. And then she said, there's only one other person that I know in my network that is as fired up as you are about this unemployment rate, and that this is like the biggest kept secret about the pool of talent that no one is tapping into because of the stories that they're telling themselves about it and that the world is saying. And it's Mike Hess that runs BIT, is Blind Institute of Technology. He's placing folks in IT jobs that use the platform Salesforce, because Salesforce, all the people in sales are like, oh, Salesforce, you have to put so much info in there. But Salesforce made their platform fully accessible. So it is like a person that are blind is person that is blind or visually impaired. It's their dream. Be able to go in, the platform's accessible, all things are equal, they can excel at their job. Now, my guys are not in IT. That is a very niche area, but still, it is a repeatable thing to be able to say, look, this works when you make things accessible, your digital environment, the physical environment, the work environment, it's accessible, people can excel. So he and I got to talking, and I'm like, I have been banging on these doors for almost 15 months now. I'm not getting anywhere. I said, wait a minute. You have a huge relationship with Salesforce. Let's talk to them. I said, can you get me 10 minutes with somebody at Salesforce and see if they'll fund this thing? Because it wasn't even that big of a budget compared to, these companies that I was knocking on doors. Sure enough, it wasn't even a 30-minute Zoom call. Within less than a week, they responded and said, Salesforce is in with the cash. And I'll tell you what, here's the cool thing about this, Charlie. When you said about things come into play when they should, and the universe brings it right when it needs to, that call, that Zoom call, it will be when we do the private screening of this film in a few weeks here in my town in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. It's not even a year from the time they said yes to going into production to doing all the editing. Now it's actually right now in audio description, and we'll have the private screening. Not even a full year. That's how fast that went. That's why my hair looks the way it does, and I have to wear hats all the time.
Yes, because it wasn't easy. I mean, all good. I mean, the more risks, the better the reward. And anybody that really makes a footprint and leaves a legacy and makes a real impact, it isn't easy. It takes a lot of work. And, you had a vision, Mike had a vision, and they weren't exact, but they came together. I had a vision. You had a vision. Thriving Blind Academy was born, mine was, and we just, that's how this works. And by us, excuse me, but by you and connecting the dots and doing this film, that is going to start the connections all over. It's like connect the dots. It's going to wake people up. It's going to, it's so exciting because I worked in this for 19 years, and I was blown away at how I'm like, oh my gosh, these kids don't know this, that. Now these parents are going to see this film and go, wow, huge potential and possibilities for my kid. I got to stop enabling them. And corporate's going to watch and go, we got to get some of those people in here. They're amazing. They add so much to the team. I mean, and you said about Salesforce. So I want to say, not only does it work, if I wanted to go get a job in sales, and I use a screen reader and magnification, I would say, hey, what kind of system do you use to take all the data, whatever you need to for the sales calls and all? Oh, we use Salesforce. Big smile.
Bing.
Because they have just met reasonable accommodations. I could start today because I know how to use my stuff, and I know how to use and at Salesforce, there's so many visually people working there who are writing code and who are working behind the scenes, and that's all accessible. That's the way. Well, Let's start
Yeah.
one at a time, but that's a nice vision to have. So you have a big April showing coming, exciting, and you're inviting, and it's in a real unique, cool theater. And then is your plan after you do this big grand opening, are you going to start showing it around in different places throughout the United States?
Yeah, you're going to be sick of me, Charlie, because we're going on tour.
I'm asking you the question for the other people. I already know the answer.
Ladies
I'm
and gentlemen,
pretending I
Charlie's going to
don't
be sick
know.
of me because we're going on tour. I'm like, we're coming to Connecticut, and now we're going up into New England. And yes, that is the goal with this, that we spend time doing these private screens. And we're saying private screens. We're not doing the big public things yet. We are talking about the streaming services and getting into conversations there. But first, we are going in these private screenings to get this message out with the panel that we're doing after the film about the how. This film opens people's minds and presents the business case for why it's important to hire. It's not important. Why it's economical for your bottom line to hire people that are blind and with disabilities. This presents the business case. And then in our presentations, we're going to walk everybody through the how that happens, with Thriving Blind Academy being the vehicle for all of these folks connecting to be ready to have the success mindset, to be phenomenal employees, connecting with these employers that have their minds open and wanting that better bottom line, and moving forward with programs. But we're saying that they are private screenings because we are going into the film festivals, and some of those festivals, it can't be these big public or streaming events yet, because of the festival stuff. So isn't that funny? I'm sitting here thinking, as I hear myself saying, yes, and then we're going to be going into film festivals. But that was the big dream from the very beginning. I'm like, how do you get something to catch on? How do you get it to how did it go from, I kept saying I wanted to be like whoever took that picture of the turtle with the straw in its nose, and then suddenly I can't get a regular straw in the entire country. Like that's the power of storytelling. That's the power of Hollywood and social media and sharing stories that matter. And this matters not just to me and the boys, and not just to Thriving Blind Academy. This matters to everybody, because it's whether you're on the business side of this or you're on the blind and visually impaired side of this, all of this is about that best kept secret of the competitive edge for everybody to be able to benefit. I could keep going and going.
Yeah, I know that about you too, but that's wonderful. But let's just reemphasize and hammer this home. This film wasn't it wasn't for money in the bank or something. It was because if you're a C-level, if you're an exec in a corporate and you come see this, it's going to inspire you. If you have an HR department, they're going to say, oh, it's not a big headache to bring in blind people. It's like, we don't know how to do it. There is no 403-page binder that you need to do. It's a very simple process. If you're a small business owner, you only have 5 employees. If you are an agency, a government, I mean, whatever it might be, you just said it. It's a win for the family. It's a win for the people who are visually impaired, because we don't see with our eyes. We see with our brains, and we're all here for a reason. And we are going to light up this. Hey, what's possible in your life? Where are you going now? Now that you know, even if you do come into a bias or a barrier, you're going to know how to break down barriers to go beyond sight and put that life that you deep down knew you wanted together and thrive.
Yep, that's why actually the tagline. So the film is The Greatest Equalizer, and the tagline is, let's level the playing field together. Because once accessibility is in place, once the negative bias is removed, you can have all the positive bias you want, but when the negative bias is removed, the barriers that don't need to be there are gone. All things are equal. Then anyone can come into that environment and their skills shine. I'm just saying that the people that are blind and visually impaired, shine a little brighter. And honestly, that's what the next one we'll dive into, and some of the programming we're doing around this film, that we dive into just what that looks like. I mean, the problem solving, the creative thinking, the sense of humor, all of those elements we'll talk about in the programming around this film. But this is, and the funny thing is, this is going to be shocking to everybody watching this and everybody that knows me. It's under 20 minutes, this short film. We make this business case in under 20 minutes. It is that to the point, that inspirational, and that easy peasy to make the case. I say easy peasy. Meanwhile, it's been in edits for like 4 months from all the footage we took in Denver where we filmed it. But you know what I mean.
I do. But again, persistence, when you have an end in mind, when you have a vision and you are going towards that, oh, you're going to go through those potholes. You're going to break down that detour sign. You're going to keep going. And I do know, because I've been around you since the beginning, that there were some times that, you might have had a bit frustration, but you talked about it. You took another look at it. I mean, these are principles that we teach in the academy, that we live by, that enables. I can't wait to see what I mean, a 70% unemployment rate. In a short amount of time, it's going to start dropping rapidly, because the vehicle, the playing field is leveled. So then all these ideas, and people are going to say, well, let's do, I mean, it's the locomotive has started.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look, Charlie, I'm already, well, I end up texting you and calling. I'm so excited over the people that are excited to come into the Newtown Theater here in Bucks County to see this. They want to know. This is what I've seen, the differentiator in the world right now. Folks are coming in wanting to know how to be a part of this, to make this happen. They are just several years ago, people were like, what? That seems entirely too hard. Of course, blind people aren't working. They're blind. Da da da. People that don't even know my boys are saying, wow, somebody's doing something about this. And you're saying it's an easy solution. I can't wait to hear this and to be able to be a part of it. It's like, oh, so I actually told my parents today, my dad goes, when do we need to get tickets? I said, today, because this thing is starting to gain so much momentum. And the theater, it's this old, gorgeous theater. I have to stop saying old. It's historic in our little town of Newtown. And it's small. So there's not a ton. This isn't this ginormous, theater with all the seats that recline and everything. This is a quaint little theater that's going to sell out quickly. But the people that are there, that are coming in, are excited to be a part of making this change with us. And like you just said, Charlie, that's the thing I'm most excited about, that even in all the frustration of getting this out there and all the stress and making sure it's going to be ready for April 19th, it's knowing that 70% unemployment rate is going to just start crashing down with massive momentum when people realize that this is not as complicated as they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, simple but not easy. So, when you align yourself with the right people, the right communities, the right mindset, you watch a film, you learn. There's trainings, there's tailored to blind people. And I don't mean it's anything, but I mean that sometimes we speak because we understand the dishonesty, the doubts and things. I know, I lived them. So that's what we do. And we get you right back on your feet, that you get to be independent, making decisions and building that life. And that, I mean, look at the academy and look at our mentors and look at how much growth people have had all around us. I'm like, I like this.
I know. Gosh, I get to I'll be in London and meet with our blind artist that started in frustration 2 years ago, and now he's so busy we can barely even keep track of him because of all of this the whole mindset and the principles that we work through, and the fact that this is not as complicated as the story has been told for all of these years. So I'm anxious to get this story out there in the world. It'll be a super fun night.
So Kristin, I've watched this interview. I got really excited. How do I buy a ticket? What do I do now?
Now you go to thrivingblindacademy.org/film. I keep it simple around here because I just don't have a lot of time to make things complicated. thrivingblindacademy.org/film. Get your tickets, grab some friends, actually grab coworkers too, especially the folks in your life that think, really? Blind people have the competitive edge. They could really help our bottom line. The doubters are the ones that we just can't even wait to have in the room too, because we're going to be opening lots of minds. But go to thrivingblindacademy.org/film and grab tickets. It's going to be a good time.
Yahoo! Can't wait.
And Charlie will be there.
Oh yeah, I'll be there, but we'll be back. I won't be interviewing you on stage. But anyway, thank you. This has been fun, and it's fun talking about the solution. It's fun. It's fun and rewarding when a vision, an inner prompting, something that comes like, I got to do a film, and you stick to it. You keep. I mean, this is an example. Just getting to this point, so I'm excited. I can't wait till. Do they use those like tapes and it does all that at the movies, or is it all like a disc?
It's a disc. Are you talking about the film strip? That's so funny.
I haven't been in a while. Leave me alone.
And we will have gourmet popcorn for the VIP ticket holders from a special theater in Connecticut that we're going to be hosting an event there come fall. But this popcorn is unbelievable. And we'll also have the popcorn machine for all the regular folks too.
Yay. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you on April 19th. Thank you for watching, and hooray and thrive.